Hey guys, so today I'm kind of reluctantly doing a how to cut your own hair video because I've had a lot of people ask for this, but I was just, I don't know, nervous about being responsible for what people do at home. It just made me nervous. So I decided to go on YouTube and look for videos of how other people cut their own hair. And then I was like,
oh my goodness.
I have to make this video. And it's not because people were doing this terrible job on their own hair. It was just, it looked very dangerous. Like, stylists were trying to tell people to point cut their hair at home. Stylists cut themselves all the time. I mean, it is pretty much par for the course. We're all scarred up on our fingers and stuff just because we constantly do this. When I was in beauty school, I actually cut my knuckle, this one right here, off completely. Like, oh, there's my knuckle on my scissors. Oh, it's blood. I don't like blood. I didn't do well. But I had to get 9 stitches just in that area right there. Now, this was in beauty school, so this was over 20 years ago. It is healed and you can't even tell anymore. But this is not the time that you want to be going to the ER. I don't want people to injure themselves and have to go to the hospital, which is like the last place you want to be right now, just because you're trying to cut your own hair. So I'm gonna show you how I cut my hair, and this is the safest way that I know to do it. And I'm a stylist, so I'm breaking all the rules.
I'm breaking all the rules. I'm just...
Because who knows how long we'll be home. You know, it could be a very long time before we're going to the beauty salon again. So I just got to do it. I have to make this video. I hope it keeps you from injuring yourself while you do this. And best of luck to you, okay? You can do it. You can do it. All right, let's watch it.
Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to do is while your hair is dry and in its natural texture state, you're going to comb it out or curl it or whatever you normally do with it and decide where you want it to lay. If you're just trimming, this is super easy because it's not going to require a whole lot of difference. But if you're wanting to change your hairstyle a little bit, for me, I want to cut off that bulk in the back there. I like the little angle in the front, but that back there drives me crazy. So I'm wanting to get rid of some of that. And so I'd like to look at it dry, and it gives me a good idea about how much I'm going to be cutting. So you're going to need your comb, and you're also going to need your shears. I would recommend buying some hair cutting shears. You can get them at Walmart.com, at Amazon, but whatever, just get some. They can be cheap, just get hair cutting shears. And some texturizing shears. Now this is how you do the point cutting effect without actually having to cut your knuckles up. And a clip or 2. These are gonna really help. So that's everything you'll need. So you'll want wet hair, get it completely saturated, just like that. And then we're ready to really get started. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna start with my front. So I am looking at my ends and seeing where I'm needing to cut off, like which of the ends are just getting like kind of hellacious. And believe me, I don't trim my hair very often in the front, so they get bad. But part it in the front of your ear. Normally in the salon would do a part behind the ear, but at home it's just a lot easier to deal with the parting in front of your ear. This is the best way to avoid a mullet. Or to make sure you don't cut into any kind of layering that you have in the front where you cut into your actual length of hair. So go ahead and part it in the front and just do that part. Now the front of my hair is the easiest part because I can see it directly and I have a really good idea of where it's going to lay after I cut it. The most important thing though here is to be cognizant of where your ear is. Okay, this is where your highest potential for actually cutting yourself is cutting your ear there. You're so concerned about the hair that you forget, and that earlobe is hiding there. Now it's a little easier for me because I'm cutting well below my ear. But if you're cutting up close to your ear, be very aware of where it is so that you don't cut it on accident. That's what will happen most. Now what I'm doing is combing everything down as flat as I can and then cutting it without picking it up. Now this is important because when you have it straight down and you cut it, you're not going to end up with these longer pieces underneath sticking out. If you pull it up a degree or two even away from your face, you're going to end up with a little layer right around the bottom there, but not a good layer. It'll be like a, oh, you missed some hairs underneath, kind of little stringies hanging out underneath, and that's not good. Don't be afraid to take your time here because this kind of sets up everything for the rest of the haircut. So really make sure you've got every little stray taken care of, and look in the mirror to make sure everything really is even on both sides. When you look straight ahead in that mirror, that you can tell that it is even, that it falls the same spot. Since this is a blunt haircut, there's less room for forgiveness as far as it being shorter on one side or not. Now we're going to move into connecting the front and the back. So the main obstacle here, once again, is that good old ear. So I pull forward a little bit more hair from behind my ear to the front to where it's pretty much right on top of, like right in the middle of my ear is where I've parted it now. And I kind of blend that in. Now this is the part where it will like to go up. What I mean by that is if you comb hair over your ear when you cut it, when it dries, that part that was over the ear will pull up a little higher than the rest of it, and then you will have a divot in your nice straight bob hairline, and you don't want that. So you split it right down the middle with nothing over your ear, everything flat against your head. And then for this particular haircut, it's pretty easy. I just see where I don't like it and I just cut it off. I'm not going way up high into my hairline or anything, but I am cutting into some of the hair that's growing down there. So for the very back part, this is the least professional part probably of the whole thing. I just pull it out and cut in between here. This is so much safer to do to yourself than how we cut hair in the salon, which is by holding our shears like this. Now this gives you so much more control when you're actually looking at what you're doing. But when you're cutting the back of your short hair, you have no control. You have very, very limited control, we'll say that. So we're just trying to get off some of the bulk and not make it look perfect. It can be choppy, that's okay, because we can fix most of that by getting in there with our thinning shears. But by pulling it out and cutting the hair with your shears between your fingers and your scalp, you can really get rid of some of that bulk without near as much risk of chopping off a knuckle. And believe me, you don't want to do that. So to finish up this back part, the actual haircut part, I'm just looking in the mirror and using my shears to go around and cut off all that extra. Now, I still have that gross part there, but I actually will probably take care of that with either the trimmers or with a razor in the shower. I'll just shave that part off. But comb it all down, because make sure you comb it down really well first, because if not, all that stuff I just combed down will hide up in there until one day you run your fingers through it and it's just this massive, gross chunk of hair that's hiding there. And you don't want that. So this is not, now if you have someone with you who can help you with this part, stand behind you and just kind of cut all that extra, the straight line part off, that would be awesome. Now, a lot of husbands and, spouses are not feeling up to that. They're like, I'm not touching that. I'll mess it up and you'll hate me forever. So no pressure. If they can't do it, it's okay. Now that we have successfully-ish done the exterior of the haircut, it's time to get into the interior, which is just a fancy salon way of saying the layers. I like a nice rounded shape to my hair. I don't like it too heavy and blunt at the bottom. So I'm gonna start by clipping up the top section. Now this is one of the areas where I would be fearful of someone hurting themselves with the scissors at home if they were trying to point cut out some of their bulk, or if they were just trying to layer it themselves in the back there, because that you can't see it and you're looking at it in reverse because you're looking at it through a mirror. But I'm just looking at it there and deciding how much of that I want gone, and I use my thinning shears just to kind of debulk it a little. Okay guys, so that's all I'm really doing here. I'm not trying to necessarily make it shorter. I'm just trying to take out a little bit of that bulk so that it lays a little flatter against the nape of my neck and my head. So this is just, you pull it out once again, instead of trying to trim on the outside, go ahead and go in between your fingers and your scalp. This will prevent you, this is a lot easier than trying to cut on top of, you know, the typical hair cutting technique where you pull out hair and then cut the hair that's between your fingers. Now this makes such a big difference, and you for this situation this works so well. It's not going to look as good as somebody doing some point cutting on you, or someone who can actually see what is going on back there, but I mean it looks really good for what it is. I'm just double checking everything right here now, making sure everything is even. And then I'm going to let down this top part, and I'm actually going to do a little layering in this top part because it's gotten a little long. So I'm going to start by, I'm not picking up anything in the bottom there, but I'm going to comb all that up. I'm going to squat down so you guys can see what I'm doing. And just any of those really long, extraneous, wispy pieces, I'm going to cut the ends off of that, because that's where the length is just getting a little out of control for my personal preference. So with my shears, very carefully, I'm going to trim that off. And then I'm going to, yeah, kind of hold it down and see where it's falling, and I'm pretty happy with that. But I'm going to check it a little more, see how it falls with the rest of my hair. But take your time doing this. Really look at it and decide where you want it to fall. Take a step back, shake your hair out and look at it. Try not to get too focused on one detail. So I can tell there that top layer is still a little too long because it's almost as long as the length of my hair. So I'm going to go ahead and thin out the ends of this section the section that I just trimmed. So normally, I don't know why I did it this way. Normally I would do all the cutting first and then go back and do the ends, but for some reason today I did it a little differently. But it doesn't matter how you do it, honestly. But so get your next section up there and comb out your hairline. Make sure you don't put your hairline into that section, because we don't want layers around your face. If you do want layers around your face, I would comb them down and trim them against your cheek with your shears, and not pull them up and trim them into it, because it will come out a lot better if you comb it down and you can see exactly where they're gonna lay in the angle. So, but here I'm gonna pull that up. Oh, that's old hair, and just trim off if I can find it. Yep, guys, I'm doing this in the mirror too. Then I trim off the ends there. Oh my goodness, I'm struggling there. But not quite as much in the front, because I like my layer to kind of angle to the front. So meaning I want a little longer layer in the front and a little shorter layer in the back. And then I go through and just use those magical thinning shears. In this case, we're going to call them texturizing shears, because I'm not really thinning. We're using them on the ends, which is more of a texturizing thing. If you want to use them for a thinning shear, you hold them closer to the scalp. But I'm pretty happy with that, the angle that I've got there so far. And then I just have to finish up on the other side. So let's do that. Just a real quick rule of thumb when you're using these thinning shears. Don't do more than 3 snips if you have real thick hair. If you have fine hair, start off with just doing 1 snip, okay? Because if you do too many in an area, it can look like you got your hair cut by letting a rat chew it off. And that's not what you want. You want it to look piecey, not just destroyed and mangled. So the last section I think I'm going to work on is this back part that's just a little too long still. So I'm going to comb that up, and I'm really going to take out just a little bit of that top layer, because right now it's kind of almost undercut where that top layer is hanging over the rest. And so I'm not trying to add a whole bunch more layer, I'm just trying to blend it in so that it lays nice. I probably could have taken off a little more than I did there, but it's okay. It's okay. And then I go through with my thinning shears just to kind of give it a little bit more forgiveness. These thinning shears, I'm telling you, they give your hair so much more forgiveness. You can cover a multitude of sins. One of the biggest factors of a successful home haircut is knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them, guys. You've got to be able to say, okay, that's good enough. I'm going to walk away. Because if you keep going, you're going to end up with no hair. Because it's one of those situations where you could always do a little more, a little more, a little more. So get it off the part that's really bothering you. And then just kind of let the rest stay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Eventually, you'll be able to get back to your stylist and get a really good haircut. But in the meantime, hopefully this will keep you from going crazy and keep you from cutting off your fingers.